حضورنا الكريم، نجدد لكم التحية في مؤتمر الكويت الثالث للشراكة بين القطاعين العام والخاص، ونستهل الفترة الثانية بمحاضرة ضمن عنوان دور هيئة تشجيع الاستثمار المباشر في تسهيل دخول المستثمرين لدولة الكويت، وتقدمها الأستاذ نوف ناصر المزين، رئيس قسم متابعة المشاريع الاستثمارية، قطاع العمليات الاستثمارية، هيئة تشجيع الاستثمار المباشر. فلتتفضل.
السلام عليكم، يعطيكم العافية. إن شاء الله اليوم راح نبدي Invest in Kuwait. راح تكون المحاضرة بالإنجليزي. Today we're going to be speaking about Invest Kuwait, and we'll be covering Kuwait's 2035 vision and how Kuwait Direct Investment Promotion Authority is aligned with this vision, as well as KDIPA's role in facilitating investors in Kuwait. Kuwait is actively pursuing its role in transforming Kuwait as a leading commercial and financial center, supported by its 7 pillars through economic growth as well as strategic development, so many business, let's say, improvements and infrastructure developments. Kuwait presents a unique set of propositions that invite investors to invest in Kuwait, and this includes not only being substantially high in or rich in oil and gas, but also it has young, skilled workforce, highly educated, as well as strategic location, sound banking system, and it has a very transparent legal framework. There are significant investment opportunities that are in diverse sectors in Kuwait, such as in the financing and banking sector, health and pharmaceutical, downstream oil and gas, consultancy, project management, North Zone development, and waste management. In addition to that, KDIPA is aligned with Kuwait 2035's vision in terms of the development plans, the government programs, international standards, and focusing on enhancing the direct investment and promoting sustainability. The Kuwait Direct Investment Promotion Authority, KDIPA, we will now dig in deeper into what KDIPA has been doing the past 9 to 10 years and how it helps facilitate investors' journey in Kuwait. So KDIPA is governed, and I would say, by international foreign direct investment goals, and that is targeting value-added direct investments that provide us with transfer of technology in terms of tangible or intangible technology and the transfer of know-how, as well as creating quality jobs for nationals and providing quality training as well. In addition to that, it supports the local content in terms of using local products and services of the Kuwaiti market. And this goes in line with our strategic development goals to economic diversification, as well as having the private sector to lead the role in Kuwait's economy. KDIPA's Law 116 of 2013 is the new or the latest FDI law, and it has come with many, let's say, several improvements that we have witnessed throughout this years. Due to KDIPA's law, there are now companies that can actually open different types of legal forms and entities, as well as set there's a certain set of transparent criteria where investors can apply to KDIPA in the sense that they have to meet our FDI goals. The investment licensing procedure is much faster, as well as we have a negative list approach, which we'll be sharing in the next slides. Through KDIPA's new FDI law, we have established a one-stop shop department, the first department, and it has been in collaboration with MOCI, the Ministry of Commerce and Industry. And we do provide extended incentives and guarantees, and where we always aim to, let's say, advance them and work on improving those incentives. As we can see here, these are the incentives and guarantees that KDIPA offer. At KDIPA, we offer various types of incentives, such as, and as mentioned by my colleague from CAP earlier today, we do have the tax exemptions and we do have the customs exemption, but also investors can open 100% of foreign ownership through KDIPA, as well as we guarantee the free transfer and capital and protection from expropriation. And also, in addition to our advocacy role, KDIPA always ensures that our incentives do actually make sense today, especially with all the changes in the world and all the new regulations and investors, let's say, needs. So one of the things KDIPA has advocated in 2024, there's a law that has come out, which is 15 years investors' residency for the investor and their family. In addition to that, another advocacy role we have played was owning land. So investors that fall under KDIPA in the future can own land for the use operations or for residential purposes. And this law has been issued in 2025 earlier this year. So the three types of legal forms that I would say a company can invest in Kuwait through KDIPA is, one, as a Kuwaiti company, meaning you will be treated exactly like any Kuwaiti company in Kuwait in terms of being able to tender and with a participation equity of 100% in a form of WLL, one person, single person company, or a closed shareholding company. Another form would be a branch of a foreign company. Basically, they will just mirror the mother company's activities. And then lastly, this is the only, I would say, representative office available under KDIPA's law, and I don't think it can be happened under any other law in Kuwait, which is basically where we give the investor the chance to study the market. If they are hesitant to enter the market, they can apply for a representative office for 2 years, and they cannot engage any commercial activity. So this is also a third option. So we welcome all investors, and we will help them pick the right legal form for their investment journey and their objective. Moving on, as I mentioned, that KDIPA has shifted to having a negative shortlist. What that means is that all economic sectors are welcome in Kuwait. We do not have a specific economic sector that is allowed or not, except for the, let's say, 10 sectors that are mentioned here, and this is due to national security reasons, and such as the oil and gas extraction or security and investigation. This is one of the shortest negative lists, I would say, in the region. But that doesn't mean that companies cannot engage with supporting activities. So, for example, they could apply for supporting activities for the extraction of crude petroleum and supporting activities for real estate activities and so on. So we're very proud of this shift, and this made more companies, let's say, enter in the market, and we will see the sectors in the later on stage. So like I mentioned, that at the end of the day, when a company comes in Kuwait, there are certain goals the FDI, let's say, that meet our FDI goals, in the sense that there has to be a benefit in Kuwait. So yes, the company has an objective, but also we need to see if the company coming into Kuwait, will they transfer knowledge or know-how? Will they transfer innovative technology or intangible or tangible, or transfer R&D? Another very important aspect is the human capital. It is very important that real jobs are created to nationals, and this is something we follow up on at KDIPA with all our licensed entities. Not only are they real jobs, but they have to be trained within the core of the business. And in this sense, we do compensate those investors. We do provide them with more incentives. Very simply, the more they perform, the more they create within these incentives, these criteria, the more they will benefit from KDIPA's incentives. We can see that we also look into sustainable development. So if a company has social responsibility activities or falls under certain SDG goals, we definitely take into consideration within our economic benefit model, as well as we look into a company and their impact on market development. So is there a need for that product or service in the domestic market? Will they use national products and services? That makes a big difference. Another thing is the economic diversification. Boosting competitiveness is definitely one of the main goals, but also we look for innovation, and also we breaking monopolies and so on. So these are the criteria that we look into, and it's available on our website if you would like to see Decision 329 of 2019 in that sense. Moving on to establishing the one-stop shop department, as I mentioned, that through the new FDI law, we have our first one-stop shop department, and very simply, we've simplified the process into 4 steps. So any company that wants to invest in Kuwait can firstly fill in an application request form, and they will get a response within 3 working days. And then after that, they need to submit their legal documents and final business plan, and the response time is within 30 working days. And then they would obtain their commercial and investment license. And this is very important to note, with the collaboration with the Ministry of Commerce and Industry, the MOCI, we do this in-house. So throughout this journey, KDIPA supports the investor from the beginning until they're operational. It's a long-term partnership in that sense. So this is done by KDIPA's team, and we provide the follow-up and aftercare services ongoing throughout the lifetime of the project. Moving on to the managing of zones, as mentioned by CAP previously, that in general, KDIPA plays a critical role in terms of managing these lands, several different lands, as you can see, economic zones, free zones, and commercial plots. KDIPA's role here is to oversee and manage these different types of lands, but we cannot do it alone. We do it with our partners, definitely. The current, let's say, status of these zones, Al Abdili zone, as we can see here, it is ready for tendering for the public sector, apologies, for the private sector. And this is by the decision of the councils of ministers. Al Naayim economic zone and Al Nuwaysib free trade zone will be tendered through CAP, as mentioned by my colleague earlier. And Al Wafra economic zone is currently in the design phase. And then lastly, we have the commercial plots, which are currently under review, development of the legal regulations, but the lands are there and the investment opportunities have been studied and finalized. And very simply, the economic zones are governed by KDIPA's law. while the free zones and commercial plots were governed, or let's say given as an assignment by the Council of Ministers, again to KDIPA. So KDIPA manages and oversees these lands with our partners. Now we will be looking at a video on Al Abdali Economic Zone and its, let's say, final master plan and its components.
Abdali is a district located in northern Kuwait, situated next to the Kuwait-Iraq border. As part of our commitment to supporting Kuwait's ongoing economic diversification, we, the Kuwait Direct Investment Promotion Authority, KDIPA, are working with a number of partners to develop a new economic zone in Abdali. This is one of several economic zones being developed by KDIPA, which include Al Wafra and Al Nayam economic zones, both of which aim to contribute to Kuwait's national development plan, namely its economic, financial and social objectives. The Abdali Economic Zone will be an integrated trade and economic hub for the country, spanning 502 hectares and comprising of 243 plots of diverse economic activities. It will create a new northern gateway for international trade within Kuwait. The economic zone in Abdali supports Kuwait's national vision for the expansion of its northern region, set to serve as a logistics hub for the planned GCC railway and Mubarak Al Kabir port. Offering a range of commercial, investment, industrial, hospitality, residential, warehousing and logistics opportunities, this new smart city will redevelop and energize Kuwait's northern province, driving a range of new economic and social opportunities for investors. The Abdali Economic Zone also boasts several sustainability and innovative design aspects. Those include strategically located district cooling plants with a combined capacity of 79,000 tons of refrigerant, as well as solid waste collection and processing systems, smart street lighting, and many other innovations. The design puts Abdali Economic Zone on course to be the first intelligent, connected city in Kuwait. All these features will add value to the residents and create opportunities to the investors in Abdali Economic Zone. As part of our commitment to technology and sustainability, the site features a plethora of green zones, in addition to harnessing smart systems across its infrastructure and road networks. KDIPA. Be part of Kuwait's vision.
So we'll move on to our, let's say, final part of this presentation, which will be covering the achievements of our FDI targets and where we stand today. So KDIPA has successfully, or I would say Kuwait, attracted substantial direct investment between 2015 up to 2024, and this demonstrates the effectiveness of investment promotion efforts and contributing significantly to the local economy. So as of today, we have approved and licensed 95 investment entities in different sectors, which we'll be showing on the next slide. And the investment value is more than 1.7 billion Kuwaiti dinars. And when it comes to the extended impact, KDIPA has its own model, the Kuwait Economic Benefit Model, where we measure the impact of those investors in terms of the FDI goals. So our model is based on the transfer of know-how, technology, jobs created, salaries paid to national, trainings paid and also invested in nationals, use of local products and services with a particular focus on national products and others. In that sense, as of 2022, we have reached a total expenditure from those entities, and keep in mind that half of these companies have actually worked. We're still not in the process of operations. Today, maybe we have 70% capacity operational. The total as of 2022 was 920 million, but today we have surpassed the 1 billion Kuwaiti dinars, which is actual expenditures paid by our investors. And we're very proud of this, let's say, achievement. And the 95 licensed companies are in these sectors, and we can see that 72% come from the top 3, which is IT-related companies, construction infrastructure, oil and gas, mainly downstream, but also we do have in the energy and electricity, human health, agriculture, aviation, market research and promotion, and we try our best to focus on extending the others as well and helping them grow. And then finally, I think it's very important to say that KDIPA cannot work without its partners, and we have a lot of partners that we're very proud of in the private and public sector. KDIPA collaborates with a wide range of key partners, including government entities, including industry bodies, international organizations, to support and facilitate investment in Kuwait. Also, KDIPA is very proud to be elected as Vice Presidency of WIPA in 2023, where we have international recognition within the IPAs. WIPA is the World Association of Investment Promotion Authorities, and this partnership has definitely put Kuwait on the map. Many countries are even more aware of KDIPA's role, and that we do have an IPA that is, let's say, proactive in that sense. Finally, and this brings me to the end of our session, we can see we're showcasing our partners in success, and these are all the entities that today, if you leave this room, you will find their offices, you can engage with them, you can make business, I would say, with them, in the sense that these companies have chosen to invest in Kuwait, and we at KDIPA are committed to supporting their growth, as well as long-term success within the local economy. And I think we can see a couple of companies in collaboration with CAP, such as WTE. We can see ACCM. So through CAP's efforts in bringing those companies and making these projects successful, they have opened companies in Kuwait and actually have offices. And that brings us again to the end of the presentation. If you have any questions, since we have more time to spare, please do. Thank you very much. Is there any questions?
Thank you very much for the presentation. I have 2 questions. Here, when you are given all the incentives as KDIPA, aren't you given better chance for the foreign investors toward the local investors and local companies? This is one. Because, in a way, you are not encouraging the local investor or the private sector. Second, if I have obstacles, can I wear a foreign company's hat and come through you?
Thank you for your question. That's actually an excellent question. So first of all, KDIPA's law is not only for foreign investors. Kuwaiti companies can establish a company under KDIPA. So KDIPA is very aware of the importance of not favoring one over another. So that's one thing. And in some cases, we do have foreign owners that are also in partnership with nationals. So that's the idea. But regarding incentives, and as we mentioned earlier, the scoring mechanism, incentives are not given to all companies. It's not a given thing just because you're under KDIPA. They have to work for it. Very simply, the incentives are given based on their promises. As we've mentioned, they go under a scoring mechanism. We rate them. If they get certain percentage, I would say, let's say above 60 or 70%, they can get 1 or 2 incentives. But again, it's not given. We do follow up and we do check if they fulfilled the commitments. So it's purely related to performance. For example, if a company said they will employ nationals and they have tax exemption, and then after a year we noticed that they did not employ nationals, they would get a 0 in their certificate for national employment. It is purely based on their performance in that sense. And regarding your second question, like I said, Kuwaiti companies can open under KDIPA. And if they are under KDIPA, KDIPA always facilitates all investors during their stay in Kuwait. There is a dedicated account manager for each investor that is there on a daily basis to tackle any issues and to raise any obstacles. And we do that with the help of our partners. Because at the end of the day, we are a middle role. KDIPA plays a middle role where we do speak to our partners, such as the MOCI, Wizarah al-Tijara, and the Ministry of Finance. They've been very supportive, and so on. We have a lot of collaborations, and this is what's making the investor's journey more fruitful, I'd say. Yes. We have 3 minutes. Any more questions? Sorry? Yes. I can't hear you. If you can have a mic.
Sorry, you mentioned Abdili
Yes.
as one of your projects.
Yes.
How ready is the project?
How ready? So Al Abdili is ready to be tendered by the private sector. The master plan is approved with the components. So the next step is tendering with the private sector mainly.
In your opinion, the time frame, can you visualize?
I cannot specify because it depends on the tendering, when the tendering process starts. But currently we are in this phase since the master plan is approved, like you've seen in the video. So hopefully in the near future.
Thank you.
Welcome.
كل الشكر والتقدير للأستاذة نوف ناصر المزين رئيس قسم متابعة المشاريع الاستثمارية قطاع العمليات الاستثمارية هيئة تشجيع الاستثمار المباشر. وندعو السيد المهندس بدر السلمان والدكتور خالد مهدي لتكريم المتحدثة في محاضرة دور هيئة تشجيع الاستثمار المباشر في تسهيل دخول المستثمرين لدولة الكويت الأستاذة نوف ناصر المزين.
طمني عليك.